Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. My name is Chris, and today I'm joined by the awesome UK power metal band Battleborn. And by that, of course, I mean the Windhelm power metal band Battleborn. This is definitely the first time I'm recording that, not the second. So thanks for joining me today, guys. How are you both doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Thank you for having us.
Yep, very well, thanks.
Cool. Would you like to introduce yourselves and your roles within the band?
Yeah, I'm Tom. I do guitar and sort of some lead, but mostly backing vocals.
Yeah, and I'm Charlie, and I play drums and less backing vocals and handsomeness.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. So we've already slightly alluded to you guys' adoration for a certain video game series, but we'll come back to that.
Oh, yeah.
Before then, I'd like to take things back to the beginning. How did Battleborn come to be?
Oh, well, it started as all great metal stories do in the back of a Vauxhall Zafira driving home from Wacken open air in 2018. We just about five, six of us in the car, and me and Will, who is our other guitarist, were one of that number. And we'd just been to Wacken, which is sort of full of power metal and folk metal and all sorts of silly, cheesy music. And we were, feeling a bit sad, a bit glum to be leaving the home of metal. And then one of our number decided to buy a Sudoku book, and he couldn't do Sudoku. So he very quickly got bored and started writing some Skyrim themed power metal lyrics in the back. And then we realized we also had an iPad in the car. And before we knew it, we'd opened up GarageBand, written Bring the Metal Back, our first song, written a full set of lyrics about, a loose connection between the metal and the Empire in Skyrim. And it was all very silly. There were two key changes. We were thinking, what would we have wanted to see over that weekend at the festival? And we got home and we're like, hang on, this is quite good. We're gonna have to do this. Fast forward a couple of years, we had an EP, and things have just spiraled steadily out of control, and here we are.
I mean, yeah, I think most bands could probably say they were formed at a festival of some description. Just everyone there, just we need to do an album.
Yeah, you just get so excited by there being metal everywhere. It's just such a good environment.
Yeah, and then you go back to the real world and you just go, oh, actually, I have a job. And
Yeah. Actually, this isn't, no.
Oh, yeah,
we,
of course. Yeah, so sorry.
We spent a while not having a full lineup, not every member of the Saphira crew made it into the esteemed halls of the battle-worn crew, sadly. But I think so that was 2018, and then we had sort of the full lineup, which released our first EP when did you join, Charlie?
So I was the last one to join. It was December 2019. So nearly a year and a half later, I was brought on board. So I'd love to claim all this credit for the EP. But
Yeah.
I was just there for the ride, to be honest.
Yeah, but sort of since then, it's like really kicked into gear and gone from strength to strength, really.
Yeah, of course. So was the band very much formed with power metal in mind when you created it?
Yeah, we'd sort of been listening to Beast in Black's Berserker on repeat on the way to Wacken, and that Wacken when you slowly drive into the field, we stood on the car blasting it very loudly and singing along. So we were kind of in that power metal mindset, and it was always going to be. It's so much fun, which I think is, we're writing silly lyrics about Skyrim. We wanted it to be fun. It wasn't deep introspective or anything like that. So power metal just always seemed like the natural go-to, and the band sound has very much evolved in that direction, kind of taken maybe a bit of sort of traditional heavy metal in there as well, but fun and cheese is often the goal.
Yeah, of course. How difficult is it to find other musicians that are willing to form a power metal band? Because it's still quite a niche subgenre in the UK.
I reckon bribery has been quite key. Like we pay Charlie a lot of money to. No.
Yeah, all the band money just gets pumped straight through me. I mean, have been trying to find a drummer in metal. They're few and far between. So
yeah, I think we were lucky that we had a few friends that were kind of similarly minded, which was always helpful. Charlie was a real stroke of luck. I mean, I wasn't actually there when you were recruited, Charlie, but you can tell the story.
Yeah, well, I suppose it was our bass player at the time, Chris. He was the only member that I knew in Battleborn, and he sort of put an ad up just saying, "Our drummer wanted." And at this point, I hadn't played drums for about 6 years, and then I bought the house I'm in now, basically, and I had space for a kit, this one. So I bought this kit anyway, and I've been playing solidly for about a month at this point, and I just saw this ad, drummer wanted for a power metal band. I thought, oh, I'm not that good. But I'll go for it anyway. And so we went to a Dragon Force gig, and I think all the rest of us were there actually. It was Dragon Force in Southampton, just after their Highway to Oblivion came out, that album. Sort of met the rest, and especially Willie as well. I mean, I was just he's if you ever meet him, he's sort of 6'7". He's just this absolute giant of a man. I feel like a peanut next to him, I think we sort of all really sort of got on. I sent in an audition tape, which I watch now actually. I found it the other day, and it's not good, but it's so basic, you know what I mean? But so I've sort of come a long way in the last couple of years. But they liked it, turned up. For a while, I thought Tom was the lead singer rather than Jack, because you do lead vocals on one of the songs, and that's the first one that we auditioned. Because there was me thinking that Jack had this, or rather Tom had this ridiculous range. We could go from low to high, but no, it's just Tom with his baritone, and then and then Jack on all the other songs. So sort of just went from there really. So after that audition, sort of got brought on board, and I've basically just been playing solidly ever since. You know, it's actually a lot of inspiration to actually practice, because they're all such fantastic musicians, everyone else in Battleborn. You know, it's really sort of made me have to bring my A game, as it were. You know, I think we all do bounce off each other quite well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So you already mentioned Beast in Black a little bit earlier as well. Were there any other bands that were like really key for inspiring the sound that you guys came up with?
I guess for the debut EP, Battle Beast as well, but it's
of course
cliche to say, but it's that Anton Kabanen sound. He's really sort of honed his craft. Then there's also, I think, a healthy dose of Judas Priest and Manowar, that classic grit, which we really value.
Hence Man of War.
Shh, no one had noticed. But then I don't know, there's lots of, because the EP's got so many, it's very much us just trying to find our sounds. There are a few influences which I guess we haven't necessarily taken forward in future writing, which I obviously can't say too much about at this stage, but
we'll talk later, it's fine.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, there's definitely sort of, I mean, I got into power metal through sort of the symphonic vein, so things like Dragonland and Fairyland, and so that I feel like some of the songs I wrote will have a bit of that in it. Who knows? The ballad is often a weird one, because, you know, where does a ballad come from? Probably like your classic 80s power ballads, but there's also a fair bit of Disney in it. So it's a real melding pot and even though it's only 5 songs, it's definitely showcasing a lot of influences, half of which I can't even name at this moment in time.
Yeah, fair enough. I think most power metal bands can probably trace their roots back to like Iron Maiden or Judas Priest. So that really classical heavy metal kind of thing. A lot of people think power metal is basically Iron Maiden, Judas Priest mixed with fantasy, essentially. So
at work I always say, imagine Iron Maiden, but if ABBA had done their synths. And people seem to go, oh yeah, that sounds okay, and then never listen to it, but that's fine. They don't need to.
Okay, yeah, it's obviously there are a lot of power metal bands. Most power metal bands will latch on to fantasy / science fiction property. As we've already alluded to, you guys frequently refer to Skyrim or Elder Scrolls as by extension, I would guess.
Yeah.
So where did the inspiration come to pick that world specifically as the realm where your music lies?
I think we've all played a lot of it over the time. I mean, Oblivion as well as Skyrim for most of the band. And also I can't really name any other Elder Scrolls bands. So it seemed, whereas
Noctool?
You can name, they came later. They're later.
Oh, you mean
before
you guys, before you set the trend, obviously.
They've got their cease and desist letter in the mail. It's coming.
Yeah, Bethesda are quite hot on them. No, and also I guess they're more black metal, aren't they? But yeah, so in terms of power metal, like you've got loads of sort of Tolkien themed things out there, and Elder Scrolls seem like it's a great setting that everyone knows, or most people know. It's really immersive, so you can really dive into it and create your own stories out of. So it's very easy to get into that lyric mindset and start imagining what it's like being the Dragonborn, killing a dragon, or being the Man of War off to destroy the Imperials. So
it's just such a big game. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's such a big game that there's just so much in there that you can draw influence from. Like when we were developing tracks for the new album, we between us we'd written something like 60 songs or something silly like that, and Tom and Willie were responsible for at least 2/3 of those, and sort of none of them were themed in the same way, because they were all influenced by sort of different quests or different characters and all that sort of thing. So there's just so much in there that even when the Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, we'll probably still just be doing Skyrim, to be fair. There's just so much in it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you think like how many hours every individual person who has got into Skyrim has probably sunk into it, countless replays. It's such a replayable game, and that means it's so easy to write songs about it.
Yeah, because I know Elder Scrolls often gets levied with the similar criticism of a world that's 1,000 miles wide and an inch deep, but those 1,000 miles is so much deep backstory and lore that the guys behind the scenes of those games that write all that backstory, just a plethora of stuff that any heavy metal band can it's ripe for the taking, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely
Exactly.
get that.
In a way, that kind of, with power metal, I guess an inch deep is quite a nice allegory for power metal, because it's not as deep as like deep introspective progressive prog gaze or something like that. Like it is a bit more surface level. The songs are shorter, they're catchier, so you don't need to sort of delve into the deep horrible histories of whatever. Like, it works quite well that you can go in, tell your quest, do the job, have a catchy key change, get out. It works.
Yeah, it's worked for decades now. Would you is Skyrim where you guys are going to be based, or are there other works of fantasy or video games that you might draw inspiration from in the future?
Ooh.
I mean, we're still just staying in Skyrim, really. I've dabbled with the thought of maybe doing a bonus track that was themed in Fallout instead, just to sort of still stay in the Bethesda realm, but with lots of laser beam sounds.
I think,
but that's it, really.
The album that we've kind of been working on, some songs are sort of more
generic rather than Skyrim. Yeah.
Some are more explicit in their Elder Scrolls references than others, but I think they are all within that pantheon, definitely. And I can't see us delving too far off it until Charlie writes a Fallout track and we have to fire him. But that's down the line.
Well, good luck replacing me.
That's true.
As long as it's not based on Fallout 76, you're fine. So not going to get into that now. So
next question, please.
Yes, next question. So I've put this one off longer than I normally would. Everyone watching is probably wondering if I forgot the B word, but I haven't. Let's talk about Bloodstock. So we saw you guys at Bloodstock last year. It was awesome. It was the Thursday, so everyone was still full of energy, of course. But even then, the New Blood 10, I rarely see it get that full. The only other time that weekend I think compares to it is Fellowship. So, but how did that show go from your guys' perspective? I know that's a way ago now, but
it was going to be our first ever show, and we thought we can't have that because if things go wrong, I'd rather it go wrong in front of 50 people instead of lots. So we quickly just did like a warm-up show in Southampton. What was it, 2-3 weeks beforehand? But
the week before, I think.
It was just the week before, was it? It was not even that long ago. Yeah, okay, fair enough. And but yeah, it's the Bloodstock. It was just such a surreal experience. Actually, we sort of turned up an hour and a half, 2 hours before the sets, unloaded the van and everything else. And when the band before us finished, we could just hear them just chanting Battleborn, which was just really strange. It probably started by some of our friends in there, and then everyone just joins in because it's a festival. People love it, don't they? But
they were doing the Bring the Metal Back chant, which is I was really nervous about that because we have that stupid bit in the song. Clearly, that we've written it coming back from Wacken where people chant at the crowd and the crowd chant back, and then we've kind of released it as a song. And I thought, hang on, we're going to have to play this live in front of crowds that might not know it. And if we're in front of a festival crowd that don't know us, we're going to look like idiots. But then whilst we're setting up, they start chanting it at us, and I start thinking, okay, this might go over. We might get away with this.
It was great though because it was when I was testing the drum mic, or rather my vocal mic up behind the drum kit rather, and I was check 1 2, and then I just sang Bring the Metal Back, and then just hundreds of people just started singing it back to me. And as a drummer, that's the most crowd interaction I will ever get. So it was just phenomenal. And the set, I mean, we had pits going during Sovngarde, didn't we?
Yeah, the crowd was mental. It was
it was really, really great fun to watch.
it flew by as well. And when we came off stage, it had flown by. It had gone really well, and we were all stood there buzzing. We were buzzing well into the evening, just on that high. I
Yeah.
mean, we then also got drunk, but like there was definitely just such a sense of how has that happened? That was amazing.
Yeah, you guys were so good. It was really, power metal belongs at the beginning of Bloodstock to really get people fucking going for it. Did you guys stay for the whole weekend?
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
there. So right up until Judas Priest, saw it
Nice.
all. Fellowship
other-
killed it. You mentioned them
Yeah,
earlier.
Fellowship were really good. Yeah, we were at the front for them because we were camped next to them in the artist
Oh,
area.
perfect.
So like we sort of just turned up by coincidence at the centre. So, oh, we know you, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're really nice guys as well to hang out with.
Yeah,
So yeah, we had to be there for them.
Also, Hanowar, the Manowar
Yeah.
cover band, they were on the Saturday night, I think, and they killed it as well. That was very much a fun gig. My friend Adam was covered in baby oil. It was, it was mental. But yeah, I think you're definitely right. That kind of power metal at the start of the festival, before we weren't too late in the evenings, people weren't too drunk out their minds, but they'd had enough to be having a good time and go wild, and it just showed. It was really great. I think
Yeah, I
also,
think we were penultimate, weren't we? It was around about 7, 8, something
Yeah,
like that. I think so.
half
That's a good
Sounds about
time.
right.
Yeah.
yeah, and obviously it was the first festival any of us had been to in a couple of years at that point, so you could definitely feel the excitement, and I think it all just went well for everyone.
Yeah, it was great. You mentioned Fellowship. I interviewed Matt for this channel from Fellowship semi recently, and he was singing you guys' praises as well. So
Oh,
there you go. Mutual
lovely
respect
man.
going on. Yeah, he's such a nice guy.
we're really gutted actually, because we were going into the studio next week to record some vocals, or the vocals for our upcoming album, and he was going to come down and do some backing vocals for
Oh,
us
no
in the
way.
choir section, and there are replacement bus services, and his travel would take like 9 hours or something round trip, and it wasn't meant to be, but we will get him on an album.
Has he considered living closer? I mean,
Has he?
surely.
That is the question that we've asked. Come on, Matt, sort yourself out. But no, really excited to see what those guys get up to in the future, and we've been friends with them sort of since we both started, which is really nice. 2 up and coming power metal bands in the UK.
Yeah, we sort of came about within like a couple of months of each other, didn't we, in the first instance? So yeah.
I'm sure you've been asked this so many times, but what's the likelihood of you guys doing a tour together?
Well, you never know. You never know.
I was in Battleship, wouldn't it be?
The Battleship tour. All I'm
good.
gonna say is never say never, and keep your eyes peeled, and other vague things that make it sound like we have plans.
I will not pry any further, but we'll just put that as a confirmed banner. Why don't we?
Yeah, if you just update Metal Archives right now, that will join forces. They don't do tours on there. That doesn't work.
I mean,
You can cut that joke out.
We can just make one massive band, a super group that is just all 10 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Battleship. It just works. I'll be like Metal Hammer. If I got a story to tell you guys. So anyway, I went with my band to Bloodstock. We weren't playing. We just all went. We're nowhere near that level yet. But 2 of our guys in our band saw you guys, and they didn't really listen to power metal before. After your set, they were going, "Oh, what other power metal bands are playing? We need to go find some more power." Oh, that was so good.
Not many that year at Bloodstock, was it?
I think there were 3, you, Fellowship, and another band on the main stage we're not going to talk about right now.
Charlie, you idiot, you said the word.
Oh no, sorry, I'm out of the band.
We're not going to dive into that. But anyway, power metal, it really struck a chord with them as soon as you guys stepped up out on that stage. So what is it about power metal just works live more than any other genre of metal?
It's the fun. It's the fun factor. We had exactly the same kind of sort of thing at HRH Vikings, which we played in December. Primarily sort of more folk black metal crowd, but a fun power metal band comes along, gets them. We're playing exciting songs which you can get a bit silly to, and it just works live, and people realize that actually they do love cheese and they do love having fun, and they just get converted. I mean, I don't even know if they'll all go home and start listening to power metal, but they will remember that they enjoy it live and come and see us, and that's great.
Yeah, so they don't remember your songs, but they remember how you make them feel.
No, we don't remember the songs. It's just all the same. It's very, very, very easy. But yeah, it gets people going in the right way, I think.
Yeah, I can't be the only person who at 11 o'clock at night puts on Nightfall and Middle Earth by Blind Guardian and just
That's just
sits there weeping for an hour.
That's just good sense.
Oh dear. But Bloodstock, I think, was a real credence to how much demand there is for power metal. As I said, you guys, Fellowship, and the other band we're not going to mention, had huge, huge turnouts. So clearly, the UK is hungry for power metal, even if it's just in a live sense. However, it's still a niche subgenre in the UK, which I find bizarre because in Europe it's massive, absolutely huge. And I asked Matt of Fellowship this about why he thinks UK power metal has never really taken off. He blames the live music scene not really shining a spotlight on this kind of subgenre. But I was wondering if you guys had thoughts on why power metal in the UK hasn't really taken off.
Yeah, I think it might. It's also part of the media. I think really because it's whatever generic, insert random word core here that UK media does seem to really get behind. I think it's actually a rite of passage from what I've seen anyway. From sort of the major UK media establishments, it's a rite of passage for a power metal band to get quite a scathing negative review on what is a fantastic album. Otherwise, and I can't wait actually to see ours, whatever it is that they come up with. But that is the thing. It's like you do get told what's good at the end of the day. People put it on you, and I think a lot of sort of higher ups in those large media establishments just don't like power metal, and that's the trouble, really. But there is a market to be filled, and we're here to. At the end of the day, it's quite a niche subgenre because there's not too many power metal bands in the UK as well. There's just not many of us about. So hopefully more people will see us and see Fellowship and various other bands that shan't be named, and just think, actually, you know what, we can do that as well, and we can grow.
I think it's quite weird that that is the situation as well, because obviously, like, the UK is home to Maiden, Priest. The kind of the bands that started heavy metal, like classic heavy metal, and power metal takes so much from that. And it is very odd that people worship the ground that Iron Maiden walk on and Judas Priest walk on, but don't want to see this kind of the bands that are carrying that torch in the past few years. So it's hard to explain why the British people think what they do at times, in all manner of speaking, but I think that the market is there, and I think that the more bands like us and Fellowship sort of really carry the torch, keep playing shows, release albums, keep drawing in crowds, it's only going to grow. As Charlie says, there aren't that many bands. If everyone saw us and Fellowship at Bloodstock, and some more people decide, oh, we're going to start a power metal band after that, then the scene's just going to keep growing, and hopefully we can be a force for good in the mighty fight for cheesy metal.
The new wave of British power metal.
Oh, I can't wait for that to be a thing.
Don't give me hope in that. That Hawkeye gift. Don't give me hope. Oh dear. So you guys dropped your self-titled EP back in 2020. I feel for you there, because my band dropped our debut EP a month before the first national lockdown. So, fun times.
We were ready to go live, like play live, and then March 2020 happened. Yeah,
so many shows booked and then nothing. But anyway, the EP's been out for a little while now. It's really good. Listen, by the way, really cool stuff. So, how did that come to be? What was the creative process behind that EP?
Do you want to take this one, Charlie?
Well, the man who wasn't present for any of it, yeah.
sorry, that was mean. So it kind of started at that sort of after WAC in 2018. We'd written the song, we got back, and then Will and I set out to write more. We wrote about 10 songs, I think. And we sort of, then it was at that point that we got Jack, our vocalist, in, and we were like, Jack, Skyrim power metal. And he said, yes, please. And it was that easy to convince him. And so we started working on this sort of 10-song album. And then things stalled for a couple of months. I can't really remember why. We all got quite busy. And then eventually we sort of sat down and thought, okay, these songs are very fun and need to be released. Let's take our finger out our butt and actually get it sorted. We pushed it down to a 5-track EP to kind of, we knew it was going to be an independent release. It seemed like the thing that bands do, put an EP out by yourself and then use that to gather some traction. And we sort of honed the arrangements, honed the vocal arrangements, which hadn't had that much work at that point. really sort of the tail end of 2019, I think, was when a lot of the work went into it, and that's when we started shopping for mixing engineers and everything, and just got it ready to be sort of released around March 2020, which was when, of course, everything went to shit and everything got delayed. But yeah, the actual writing process was very much, we want to write a 10-track album because that is the number of tracks an album has. And there were definitely some songs which didn't necessarily make it, which were sort of, we need a track 7. Let's write a song that sounds like a track 7. And it's best they've been left behind. But some of them, I think, will see the light of day again one day. But we also keep writing songs. So the catalog, the back catalog, is just getting too large to handle, really.
Yeah, there is a lot on there because, like you say, I don't think any of the EP rejects are on the new album. I think they're all new ones. I think as well.
No.
Just sort of trying to think through them.
Mars of Steel got close.
It did get very close, didn't it? Yeah. But yeah, it's not to be. But to be fair, you mentioned like the lockdown and everything. That was actually a bit of a blessing in disguise, I suppose, because we were quite gutted we couldn't play live or anything like that. But because of the timing of everything, we released the EP. Like the first single was a month after the first lockdown, and then the full EP was in June, wasn't it? I think so. Sort of April, May, June. We did a couple of singles, and then that. And I think people were hungry for music, and people were indoors. They weren't doing anything, so they were just looking. Okay, well, what cheesy nonsense can I find online now? And we just threw so much into online PR and adverts and doing interviews like this and all that sort of thing, and we just threw so much at it. And I think if we weren't in lockdown, perhaps that wouldn't have been quite so successful, because we got a lot of followers off the back of it, we got a lot of streams off the back of it, and a lot of buzz and interest off the back of it. And that was when Bloodstock initially reached out, because it was just via our Facebook. It was is this a touring thing or just a studio project? And if we hadn't gone to those lengths because of the situation we were in, then we might not be where we are now. So I think we definitely worked with what we had quite well.
Absolutely. We did 3 sort of from your bedroom playthrough type things, which we each recorded our parts for some songs, filmed it, and then Charlie edited it together, which I think a few bands did as a kind of, well, we can't play a show for you, but this is what we'd sound like.
We'll play a show, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a really good way. People reacted really well to that because, as you said, they were stuck at home. They couldn't do anything. It was something to watch. It was something a bit different. Yeah, we sort of capitalized on being stuck at home as much as we could, which is all we could do, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff. I wasn't going to swing back to Bloodstock, but you just mentioned something there, and I want to dig deeper there. So Bloodstock reached out to you guys because normally is that right? Because normally New Blood is Metal to the Masses kind of thing.
Yeah, so we didn't enter Metal to the Masses. So it was kind of a bit of both. So they reached out to us initially back in just after the EP had come out, like July or August or something, 2020. Not offering us a slot or anything, but they just asked the question. And then it was getting a few months before Bloodstock was happening, and we just sent them an email saying, hey, remember us, do you fancy booking us then, effectively? And then a couple of days later we had a contract and it was done. So we were New Blood, but we didn't do Metal to the Masses or anything like that. The Fellowship was similar. They didn't Metal to the Masses either. Speaking of, it was just I don't want to say on there or anything because it's not quite, because obviously that but you know what I mean, it's just more just from other channels effectively, and we just effectively jumped the queue, which was quite nice. So
yeah, I think we'd impressed them. They were glad to see us reaching out, so it all worked out really.
Yeah,
it's just like, don't be afraid of being pushy, just keeping your foot in the door, basically.
Oh, that's the thing. That's very much our philosophy. Don't ask, don't get. We've got so much because of that mentality, you know. Well, like most of what we've had so far is because we just asked for it, you know. A lot of bands just wait around for things to happen, but you need to make your own luck to an extent.
We've had no's as well. Like a lot of people said, sorry, fuck off. There was our first choice PR firm, I think, because we approached a few PR firms to help with promoting the EP, and the first one said, you're mad releasing an EP in the middle of lockdown before you've ever played a live show. You'll never get anywhere with it. And we proved them wrong by doing it. Someone quite recently said something similar about something which we were going to do, and then went and did it.
It was a booking agent, wasn't it? I think. Well, there was another one. Do you remember that we got a very savage response from it, a very nice but savagely honest response from a booking agent as well. And but on the flip, we now have other booking agent now instead, and it's that sort of thing. With record labels too.
Yeah, well, some record labels just don't reply if they don't want you.
Yeah, exactly.
When someone says no, I don't think you can do it. It is quite inspiring. It helps you want to go and do it even more.
Yeah.
So we love asking for things. If we don't get it, we just try even harder to get it.
Yeah, sounds good. It's exactly how I get guys like you guys on the channel. You guys, Fellowship, Svalbard, LVT. I only got those people because I fucking asked.
asked for it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, don't ask, you don't get. Absolutely. So speaking of live shows, though, you're soon to embark on your Ride for Heavy Metal tour. I believe that starts this coming May, if I've got that correct. It's pretty full on, 10 shows starting towards the end of the month, going into the next month. How are you guys feeling about that impending tour? I bet you're dying to get back out there.
I mean, slightly bricking it because 10 shows in 10 days is going to destroy any semblance of health that any of us have. But yeah, very excited. None of us have toured before. We're all going to be in a van. It's going to be the life.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's the sort of thing that I thought at 18, I would always, or like from 16 to 18, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm going to do with life. And then you give up on it because you grow up a bit. And then now at 31, I'm doing it, Mum. I'm doing it. You know,
wasn't a phase.
Yeah, and it's seriously looking forward to it and just seeing all these different places I've never been as well. I mean, at the end of the day, we're probably not going to see much of all these various cities in terms of we're going to because we'll be turning up, setting up, and but yeah, it's plus people are asking to say, oh, are you going to come to this date? Are you going to come to this date? And it's actually really nice to see the fans actually ask for these dates, and we're doing something right.
Killer set list as well. Like we played an hour at HRH in a show in Weymouth, so it's going to be we played slightly under an hour, so we're playing a full hour this time, and it's got songs we've not played live before, and we're really happy with the set list. It's going to be a lot of fun for everyone. People won't know some of the songs because they'll be new, but
yeah, I think half the set list is going to be from the new album. So yeah, for anyone watching this wants to get a sneak preview, then please come along. You know, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and we've got we had a last minute panic where one of our shows was going to be supporting Power Quest, but that got cancelled. So we are still playing London. It's just slightly earlier.
Yeah, so it's an extra date. So it's I suppose an 11-date tour at this point now, just with London a week prior to the rest of the tour. So
we didn't want to lose London because that's such.
You can't do a UK tour and not play London. You know.
That might stick it to London because normally bands do UK tour and it's just London and maybe Manchester. So it'd be quite fun to do a UK tour, but not London.
Well, we're calling it UK. It's basically 9 England dates and 1 in Scotland. So
we're trying to get a Wales date.
We are trying to get a Wales date. We are. Sorry, Northern Ireland, that can't happen. But
we can't go across the sea. It's just impossible. We don't have a boat. We've got a van.
Yeah, the Nords didn't sail across the seas until thousands of years before the Imperial invasion. So anyway, yeah. So and for all my Bristol viewers, because we talk a lot about the Bristol metal scene, these guys are bringing the metal back to none other than the Griffin on May the 30th. Love that venue so much. So that will be amazing.
We've heard it's really compact, and it's just such an intense show. So we can't wait for that. That's going to be
we've my band played the Griffin many times, and one show our guitarist got lifted on someone's shoulders. Fortunately, he had a wireless speaker so he could keep playing. But yeah, Griffin's fantastic. Such a good venue. Have you guys? I presume the answer is no. We're going to ask anyway. Have you ever brought the metal back to Bristol before?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Well, settle in.
So, I don't know what it's like in Bristol with no metal, but
I mean, I have been to Bristol and I am quite metal, but not in the same sense.
No.
Bristol's got a fantastic metal scene. I'll always sing its praises. Love Bristol so much. You've alluded to new music a couple of times. What are the chances of some new music coming soon?
Yes, and
there are chances.
There are chances. Yeah, so we've signed to Prosthetic Records recently, which we're really excited about. They've been very good to us so far, and there are a lot of exciting plans in the works. There is a slight issue in the world in that Adele has ruined the vinyl industry.
I heard about this. Yeah, that's mental.
The album wasn't even that good, so I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's why my Venom Prison vinyl got delayed.
Yeah, so vinyl is backed up, which is kind of means that if you want to release everything all in one go, there is a bit of a wait for these things. But we have some plans in motion to make sure that we build some momentum, keep things going, give the fans some things to tide them over. Can't say too much yet, but this year is going to be exciting, and so will next year, and so will all of the years, because we're Battleborn and we're just here now.
Yeah,
You're
we're
gonna have to deal
perpetually
with that.
bringing the metal back. In fact, it's just that same song time and time again.
Yeah, 12 tracks of bringing the metal back. Just that song.
It's
Big
gonna be one of
wobble.
those. It's gonna be one of those songs you're just never gonna be able to get away with. You're gonna have to close with that every single
I
time.
think so. And to be fair, with the double key change and the crowd chanty bit, the crowd react to it really well every time. So I'm fine with playing it. It really gets them going.
Yeah, it would be nice to think that somewhere down the line we do get something more popular, and we haven't already released the best song we'll ever release.
Yeah, well, Charlie, you can dream, but it is what it
It is a banger. It is a banger.
I love Southern Guard Awaits. I think that's got to be my favorite one. Bring the
I
Metal
wrote
Back.
that one.
That's my favorite off the album. That one.
Bring the Metal Back is great, live sense, but Southern Guard Awaits is really, really, really cool.
I think Bring the Metal Back it's your commercial hard hitter, does the thing, clinically executed, people love it. Southern God Awaits is very much a me song because it makes you a bit sad, a little bit, like especially with the orchestral intro and then the sort of hold your hand bit in the middle. And sort of most of my music does just have that slight tendency of, oh, I am a bit sad and do need to hold a hand and think deeply before doing something mighty. And I just love it. I'm very proud of that one. But it's, a lot of people do enjoy that, but I think it'll never be the million streams song, just because it's not got a double key change at the end. You need one of them.
We'll call it the hidden gem, I think.
Yeah.
The hidden gem. Yeah.
It's an epic closer, and it really works well in the set actually to kind of bookmark. If we want to think about a set maybe as an act in 3 parts, it's a really good end of an act because it is so massive and epic, and live it works
and then
really
you can
well.
start again. Yeah, so sort
Live-
of bring the energy back up.
Yeah, we all kind of, there's a bit where we all, like all 4 of us in the front are all singing, and then we all start headbanging, and that was when the crowd started moshing at Bloodstock, and it does bring a big sense of scale, which we can then start the next act with. So yeah.
Awesome stuff. So we're nearing the end. I've managed to not go on for over an hour this time. So fantastic. Yeah. So I
feel
always
offended.
like
Please keep talking.
No, you guys are succinct. You're to the point. You don't, fluff of things around for 10-minute answers. But so I always end these interviews the same way every single time with some quick fire questions. I say with not going on. Some bands debate this for longer than the main interview. So these are just very quick fire nonsense questions. You can think as quickly or as long as you want. You can debate amongst yourselves if you want. You don't have to come to a consensus. So I always start with this one. Who is better, Metallica or Slayer?
Slayer.
Neither.
I'm building a tally, and I think I can count the number of people who said Slayer on one hand.
Ah.
I mean, to be fair, Megadeth is the answer if we're going for the big 4. So
I do like
Megadeth.
Megadeth.
The correct answer of the big 4. I'm afraid.
Matt from Fellowship is also the other person you said neither.
Yeah, well, I didn't really listen to thrash metal during my becoming a metalhead phase, so I have no real connection to those bands. I just quite like the Megadeth album. I like Holy Wars.
Rust in Peace.
That's the one with Holy Wars on it.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I got to start with it. It's the Pepsi versus Coke question of metal, really. Fuck it, Pepsi versus Coke.
Coke.
Pepsi Max.
Oh, they were still split. I'm a Coke guy.
Correct.
Yeah. So, traditional metal versus modern metal.
What's the cutoff point?
Let's say pre-Pantera versus post-Pantera.
Well, it's really hard because I listened to a 50-50 split.
I listen to mostly, well, almost exclusively post, like modern metal, but so much of it is inspired and dependent on that traditional stuff. I'm going to say modern metal, but I'll feel sad about it. I'll feel sad that I've made that choice.
Yeah, traditional for me, I'll say.
Sweet. We'll get a consensus at some point. Mosh pit or standing at the barrier?
I'm too old for that shit. I'm at the back.
stand at the barrier. I'm 6'4". I want to annoy people by being too tall at the front. Also, I'm a bit, unless it's like a core band or something where I just am a bit drunk and want to be silly, I'm there to sort of witness the spectacle and watch the band. So I kind of want to be not being knocked out. Although that being said, as a tall person, I often do have to stand at the edge of a mosh pit to protect smaller people. But
Yeah, I like to stand by the sound desk because that's where it sounds best, and you don't really get jostled.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
old
for
men,
sure.
aren't we?
Yeah, basically.
Dark Brotherhood or Thieves Guild?
Dark Brotherhood.
Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, I mean,
The sins
come
of
on.
the unworthy will be baptized in blood.
I mean, in Skyrim, Thieves Guild are kind of a joke.
Yeah. I always did the Dark Brotherhood quest first, and you get Shadowmere, the best horse in the game, and the armor's cooler.
It's a lot cooler.
Yeah.
It's just such a good quest.
And the plot line
In,
is the plot
in
line
Oblivion
is
as
really
well,
good.
the plot was really good in both of them.
I still remember the day that Dark Brotherhood asked me to murder everyone in the sanctuary. I was like, no, can I get out of this, please? Yeah, Dark Brotherhood, easily. Are you one to finish the main quest first or the side quests first?
There's a main quest.
I was going to say, bold of you to assume I've ever finished the quest lines because I always get distracted by hunting for things. No,
I think I did my first main quest finish, like my fourth playthrough. I think the first time I did the main quest.
I do the side quest. I do the main sort of guild quests alongside the main quest, but I make sure that when I get to Sovngarde, when the man says, "By what right do you enter?" I can just reel off anything. I've got them all.
I just love that the Dragonborn is bold enough to see this guy be like, "Oh, you're part of the Dark Brotherhood. All right, come on in then." It's like, no. Anyway, book versus movie.
Depends really on what it is.
Most of the time, book.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Most of the time, book. Although not being funny, as soon as I get to Tom Bombadil in Lord of the Rings, he can fuck right off.
Lord of the Rings is quite a challenging read, and I have to do a lot of reading in the day job, so the movie is a bit easier to watch. But
I do have to tell people once you get past Weathertop, Lord of the Rings becomes a hell of a lot more engaging.
Yeah, a friend of mine started reading Lord of the Rings, I think, in September, and she has still not made it out of the dark forest with Old Man Willow. It's like, God, what you're doing.
Yeah, I would recommend Wheel of Time, but that's definitely not for if you've got
It's
a
a
low attention
commitment.
span.
It is
Yeah.
a commitment.
Don't watch the show. The show is rubbish, but the books are good. Back to music. Guitar solo or drum solo?
Guitar solo.
You're the drummer.
I know. Well, I just drum solos. I mean, I don't know. I feel like half the time you're holding the audience hostage. Yeah, they're not there for that.
Ooh, I'm going to be rogue and say keyboard solo because we have them
Ooh.
sometimes.
Yes,
And
keyboard
the cra-
solo.
The
yes.
crowd love it when the keyboard is soloing because it's a bit different. It's not just on the backing track. He's actually playing those notes. He's good.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time outside of a Jordan of Bowden's show I didn't see a keyboard solo. So I'll come see you guys at the Griffin. Maybe I'll get one.
Yes.
Or you will. You'll get several.
Nice. Guitar what? I want keyboard. Who would win in a fight? 100 frost troll sized dragons or one dragon sized frost troll?
Ooh. Dragon-sized frost troll. Do you remember that first frost troll you encounter going up High Hrothgar, and it fucks you over every time because you're just always under-leveled for it. And yeah, I think one giant frost troll would be
Dragons. Just
Mehrunes Dagon levels of destruction.
the dragons will just glitch out and fly into a hill or something. Also, frost trolls can regen health, and when he's that big, I reckon he's got a lot of health and will just keep regenning it. And if those dragons are frost dragons, they won't be able to do anything because the frost trolls. Frost's in the name.
We know who the true enemy is in Skyrim, that fucking frost troll.
Actually, it's the mud crabs. Definitely the mud crabs. Stopping you fast traveling when you want to fast travel.
Yeah. Never should have come here.
The music is intense and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Mage or tank?
I want to say mage, but the last few playthroughs I've done, it's been tank.
I would say mage if magic in Skyrim in vanilla Skyrim was as good as some of the mods are, but sort of vanilla magic is quite boring. and I always end up in full dwarven armor with a massive, great big axe.
There was something in Oblivion that was good where you could make your own spells, and they got rid of that in Skyrim. And I feel like if they had that in Skyrim, then that would just be ridiculously good, and I would absolutely say mage, 100%.
Although my true calling is stealth archer.
Stealth archer, yes.
You always end up it, don't
Everyone
you?
does it. Yeah, after 100 hours, like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do stealth archery again.
That's the thing. My last playthrough, I've got it's level 100 smithing, level 100 enchanting. So I've just got the most ridiculous armor ever, and wearing this ridiculous heavy plate. I'm still just crouching around with a bow.
My latest playthrough is one you'll be familiar with, Charlie. We were writing something for the album. We kind of had a week in our vocalist's house, sort of doing some pre-production work on the album. We had Skyrim open on another TV, and we made a man called Mr. Sabaton, and he has like eye makeup to be Mr. Sabaton sunglasses. He's got a mohawk. He's quite fat. He is just runs around in his pants with Volendrung, the mighty warhammer. So he's kind of a tank because Mr. Sabaton does love tanks. He's ridiculous.
Brilliant. Sabaton definitely needs to stretch into fantasy warfare as well. It'll be great.
Then maybe he can concede 1942.
They're releasing an album soon, I think. It'll be the same as all
yeah, it's coming out I think later this month even.
Oh, goodness me.
Okay.
I should probably get on that. Jesus.
You should get him on.
Invite him on.
Oh, that would be the day. Yeah, Mr. Sabaton.
So
there's this UK power metal band you should invite on tour with you. They're called Fellowship.
They're called Battleship.
The day before Bloodstock, I was staying overnight at our guitarist Will's house before we drove up together, and we watched Sabaton live at Grasspop, whatever year it was, and then also live at Bloodstock the same year. Just, get in the mood, get the spectacle on, feel power metal. They're very, very silly, but we do love them.
No, come on, everyone loves Sabaton. So, if you don't love Sabaton, you just don't like fun, really.
Yeah,
so.
Come on.
All right, and final question. Favorite Battleborn song?
I assume this has to come from the ones we've actually released.
It would have to.
You can announce unreleased title if you want.
Oh, well, Charlie, we could overrule.
I suppose my favourite is actually one we've already played live, so it's not even really a spoiler.
Okay, what's yours, Charlie?
Dragonheart.
Dragonheart. Yeah, we have played that live a couple of times. Mine we haven't played live, but you will all know it soon, and it's called Blood and Fire. Two very metal words, just there. Yeah. But my favourite off the EP is also Sovngarde Awakes.
Same for me.
Awesome. Got a cheeky little Crushing Sounds sneak peek there into some stuff coming hopefully very soon. Anyway, that's all we got time for today. Thank you guys again so much for joining me today. This is the first interview I've done of 2022. It's been awesome. So thank you again so much for joining me today.
Thanks very much for having us. It's been very fun.
I'll link down the descriptions below so people can check out all your stuff. Go check out Battleborn in their upcoming England and Scotland tour coming very, very soon. They're coming in all the way from Eastmarch for this. So for God's sake, you got to go check it out. Go to show these guys some support. Thank you all for watching. Have an amazing evening. Go listen to some amazing heavy metal, and I'll see you all in the next video.